Hello, welcome to Face to Face with Doug Schoon. I'm your host, Doug Schoon. This episode is about improving salon air quality. Now, I'll probably be talking about this in many episodes, telling you about the many things that you can do to improve salon air quality. But today I want to focus on just a few and give you some basics and give you a link to where you can find more information. Well, first off, what's needed in salons? What salons need are both proper and appropriate ventilation. Why? Because proper and appropriate ventilation ensures a consistent supply of good quality air, and that's what people working a salon need and rely upon. So, let's define what proper and appropriate are. First off, what's proper ventilation? Well, ventilation designed for a home is probably not proper for a salon. What you need to use is professionally designed ventilation designed for professional environments. There are many ventilation systems that are actually designed for salons, so we consider them first. But definitely don't use something that's suitable for a home. It's not going to work well in a salon environment. Now, what about appropriate? What's appropriate? Well, ventilation must be designed for the tasks that are being performed in a salon, as well as the number of tasks that are being performed. In other words, how many people are working in the salon. So if you're doing manicures, someone doing manicures or pedicures only in a salon would require different ventilation than somebody doing artificial nails, and a salon that had stylists doing hair as well would probably require yet a different type of ventilation. So you need to decide what kind of ventilation you need based on what's going on in your salon, what's proper and what's appropriate. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know if my existing salon ventilation system is proper and appropriate? Well, here's some questions you can ask yourself. 1. Do strong odors from products linger for more than 10 minutes after you discontinue using them? Can people smell the odor of the products in other rooms? Are product odors noticeable when the salon is first opened in the morning? Do clients complain or joke about strong smells or offensive odors? Because even jokes you should pay attention to. Many a truth are spoken in jest. Also, do you ever have to open a window or a door because the salon odors are too strong, or the odors in the salon are too strong? Next, do the walls ever sweat with moisture? Or do the windows become foggy? Are walls, furniture, or floor coated with a thin layer of fine dust? Yes to any of these, and you should contact a local HVAC expert that you can find in the yellow pages to have them check your ventilation system for problems. HVAC stands for Heating, Vacuum, and Air Conditioning Experts, and they're local experts who really specialize in ventilation, especially for businesses. They'll come in and do a yearly maintenance, clean your ventilation system to reduce dust and molds and pollens that are inside the ventilation system. If these are in the ducts and being blown into the air, that can cause people in the salon to have irritation of the eyes and throat and nose, which would be confused for product exposure, which vapors in the air. So you really want to ensure you have good quality breathing air, because that'll improve clients' perceptions of the salon. It'll improve the nail technician and stylist's daily work experience as well. So you really want to pay close attention to this, and you can have this simply by considering what's needed for proper ventilation and knowing some basic information. Owners for salons or school owners. This applies to schools as well. Schools need good ventilation because students need to understand right from the beginning that they need proper ventilation in salons. So schools should start setting a good example. But owners in salons, as well as school owners, should consider improving ventilation if anyone experiences frequent headaches, nausea, sore throats, coughing, blurry vision, or watery eyes. These are all symptoms that could be related to the ventilation system. So consult with a local HVAC expert and see what they have to say. Again, make sure you have your system checked at least once a year. The goal of ventilation in the salon is to prevent sensory irritation. What's sensory irritation? Watery eyes, runny nose, sore throat, scratchy throat. All these things are senses being irritated, and this can happen by exposure to excessive amounts of dust or vapors. Now notice I didn't say that you want to ventilate to avoid bad odors in a salon. Why? Well, odors of a substance does not indicate whether or not this substance is safe or harmful. Dirty socks and baby diapers are great examples. Neither of these are harmful to inhale, but they sure smell pretty bad. Fragrances smell the best, yet many are sensitive to their vapors. So clearly we can't tell how problematic a vapor is simply by its odor. That just fools people. So don't try to ventilate to control odors. Ventilate to control all vapors and dust, whether they have odors or not. Even odorless products generate dust. So we don't want to focus on the odors. We want to use the odors as ways of telling us that our ventilation isn't very good. But again, the goal isn't to get rid of odors. Now, what about dust? Short-term inhalation of dust is okay, but long-term inhalation of dust can cause problems. So our goal is to avoid long-term excessive exposure to all dust. It doesn't matter what type of dust it is. Dust in salons isn't particularly more dangerous than house dust. Breathing any amount of dust in excess for long periods of time could lead to overexposure, and this is what we want to avoid. Now remember the old cowboy movies. When you see the cowboys riding across the plains and a dust storm's on the horizon, what would they do? Well, even the good guy cowboys covered their faces when a dust storm because they wanted to avoid excessive exposure of dust. Our lungs can handle small amounts of dust. We've done so for a very long time. But when we get excessive amounts, that's when we want to be careful and use ventilation and use other things I'll talk about to control dust and prevent that from becoming too excessive. Now, just neutralizing odors does not improve safety at all. Unfortunately, there's some ventilation systems that's how they sell themselves, as they neutralize odors. Don't be impressed by claims of odor neutralization or removal. Odors aren't the problem. You need a ventilation system that efficiently removes vapors and dust, not odors. Also, there are no fumes in salons, vapors and dust. Fumes are caused by when vapors and small particles are mixed together, usually when something is burning or combusting. For instance, you get fumes out of the back of your car. But unless you're burning incense in your salon, you're probably not burning anything else, so you likely do not have any fumes in a salon. Now, again, what we want to do is avoid fans, because fans only circulate the vapors and dust around the salon for everyone to breathe equally. It doesn't eliminate them. We want to eliminate them or prevent them from ever getting into the air. Now, we can work in a manner that minimizes vapors and dust formation. Here's a couple examples. For instance, empty your trash cans often. If you wipe up a spill and throw that into a trash can, the vapors can evaporate out into the salon. So I recommend using a self-closing lid on your trash can. When that closes, you pop it open with your foot. It closes as soon as you let go of your foot. Or another example would be you can use an electric file. When you're use an oil that controls the dust and keeps the dust from spreading when you're using electric file. So empty your trash often, use oils, look for other ways to control vapors and dust, and I think you can find it's possible to really prevent a lot of things from getting into the air in the first place, so then you don't have to remove them. Now, what about removal? Well, the most effective type of salon ventilation captures the vapors and dust at the source and prevents them from getting into the general salon air. This is called source capture exhaust systems, or source capture ventilation. When used together with general room ventilation, this is the best. Now, when you move into your salon, you move your salon in the first time, the ventilation that came with that salon is the general room ventilation. That's probably enough for an office, but not enough for a salon. So you want to consider getting additional ventilation. And again, source capture ventilation in conjunction with your general room ventilation is a great way to control vapors and dust. Why I particularly like source capture exhaust is because it protects what is called our breathing zone. The breathing zone is an invisible sphere that sticks out in front of your mouth, about 2 feet in diameter. Every breath you take from the day you're born until the day you die comes from your breathing zone. So it's important for us to make sure our breathing zones are clean. That's why dust masks are really important when you're filing, if you're generating large amounts of dust, especially if you don't have a source capture system. A dust mask can prevent inhalation of excessive amounts of dust, but not vapors. They have no effect on vapors at all. That's why you can breathe through them. I recommend looking for an N95 dust mask. N95 rating ensures you it's a high quality, very efficient dust mask, or find something that's equivalent. You can find dust masks on the internet, and I definitely suggest that you find a high quality dust mask and use it. Not these little flimsy things that hang on your face around and loop around the ears. These are what doctors wear so they don't sneeze on you when they're operating or examining you. So this is not something that's appropriate for salons. Don't use doctor's mask in salon. Use dust masks, masks that are designed to control dust. Now, what if your client wants to wear a dust mask too? Well, if they really want to, you probably should let them. But make sure you throw the mask away between each client and don't reuse them. You can follow the manufacturer's instructions. They'll tell you how often you should replace your own dust mask. But I think you should also explain to clients that they're really at no risk of being exposed to excessive amounts of dust coming to the salon every couple of weeks. It's the nail technicians that work in the salon day in and day out that really need to consider this and ensure that they're not inhaling excessive amounts of dust. So, again, another point that I want to make sure I don't forget to mention are room cleaners, room air cleaners, small devices that usually sit somewhere in the room itself. Well, these will keep the area around that room air cleaner clean, but they're not going to protect your breathing zone. So you should never use a room air cleaner alone. It should be used in conjunction with a source capture system so that you're capturing the dust before they can get out in the salon, and any of that escape in the salon can be picked up by the room air cleaner. So if you think about it, there are really three zones in the salon that we want to protect. Our breathing zone, the immediate zone around our table and maybe adjacent tables, and of course the general salon itself. We want to make sure vapors aren't spreading into other parts of the salon, especially with our stylists working in other parts of the salon. They certainly don't appreciate smelling vapors generated in the nail area. And these can easily be controlled if we look at the salon in a three-zone fashion, and if we look at source capture systems and learn more about how to control ventilation and keep dust and vapors out of the air in the first place. That's always the best solution. Well, where can you get additional information on controlling vapors in the salon and dust? Well, the Nail Manufacturers Council on Safety, or the NMC, has a free brochure that you can download. It's called Guidelines for Controlling and Minimizing Inhalation Exposure to Dust and Nail Products. To nail products, I should say. Let me read that again. It's Guidelines for Controlling and Minimizing Inhalation Exposure to Nail Products. That's the name of the brochure. You can find it at www.probeauty.org/NMC. I'll also put that link at the end of this episode. This is a valuable guide, very useful information that can help you learn to improve salon air quality. Again, with a real big focus on keeping the vapors and dust out of the air in the first place. So, like I said, I'll be back to talk more about ventilation. If you have any questions, I hope you will submit them to me. In fact, any questions you have at all, discussions, topics, or myths that you'd like me to talk about on Face to Face with Doug Schoon, please send them to DougSchoonsBrain@gmail.com. I'll post that email address at the end of this episode as well. I love your questions. Please send them to me because I want to really focus on answering your questions and addressing issues that the viewers raise. So please share your questions and thoughts with me. I'd love to have them. Now, the question I want to address in this episode